my whole life in bureaucracy. In fact, only 9 or 10 weeks ago, I would probably be sitting where you're sitting. So I really appreciate what you do, the difficulties you encounter, the effort it takes for you to do what you do. And again, we're very appreciative that you're here, and we would like to do whatever we can to be helpful. Now, I think what's interesting right now is we're all here today. The timing is actually quite funny, quite interesting, because it coincides with almost exactly 1 year of President Jokowi and Vice President Kala government. So it's exactly 12 months ago that the President and Vice President sworn in. I think we would admit it's been a bumpy year, not an easy year, but nevertheless, we believe we've gotten quite well done, and we believe that we're on the right track. I think what I can share with you is like this. There's still a lot that we need to improve. I think, again, for those of you who don't follow Indonesia so regularly, about 7 weeks ago, the President launched another major policy initiative, which is basically a very big deregulation drive. And maybe this is probably the biggest policy initiative during his presidency since he launched the largest infrastructure program in the history of the country 10 months earlier. Now, the purpose of this deregulation drive is actually quite simple. It is to make business, industry, trade much easier, simpler, more efficient, smoother. Frankly, it's driven by a desire to admit the truth, which is that, frankly, we rank somewhat poorly in indices like ease of doing business, the famous World Bank rankings on how easy it is to start a company, how easy it is to process permits and licenses. And the reason I bring it up is, I guess in a way, I raise it to you because I know that sometimes dealing it's not super easy, but I raise this because I want to promise you better days ahead. Yeah, I think whatever difficulties, whatever complaints you might have, I think we're working really, really hard to simplify, streamline, in many cases, cancel outright some of the paperwork, some of the forms and procedures that you have to go through to import or export, for example, surveyors reports, and so on. Now, the second thing like this, I think after the first 10 months, which I think it's fair to say we've been very domestically focused, there's so much homework we have to do domestically. I think now we're finally ready to turn outwards. I think there was a bit of a concern, maybe, over the last year and a half or 2 years that Indonesia was becoming more inward-looking. And I personally believe that's a function of the political cycle. Many of you might be aware that last year we had the biggest election in 10, possibly 15 years. It was a big pause, a big timeout in policy making, in international engagement with the outside world. But things are much more settled now, and essentially we're now probably much more ready to go out there, re-engage the outside world. And this is actually the perfect time for us to rejuvenate, revive and re-energize this TTI, trade, tourism, and investment. So, as for myself, I've already been making the rounds. I already went to Kuala Lumpur for the meeting with my fellow ASEAN trade ministers, I went to China for China ASEAN Expo, I went to Istanbul for the G20 trade ministers meeting, and my message was very simple: we're back. So I think for now, those are my very simple and straightforward remarks that I would like to share with you today. Frankly, nothing too complicated. We're busy with the nuts and bolts. Our goal is for all of you in coming months and years to keep having a better and better user experience as you hopefully come back every year, as you process your purchases from Indonesia, or if you come and sell your wares or services in Indonesia. Our hope is that in a very tangible, concrete, and practical way, your life is getting easier and easier. That's all I have to say for the moment. I think our global outlook is roughly something like this. Definitely, the global economy is still in a slowdown trend. I think so far this year, several times already, IMF, World Bank have to revise downward their forecasts for growth this year. Now, essentially, the source of instability shifted. Of course, in 2008, with the Lehman Brothers crisis, the source of the instability was the United States. And then, 3 years later, 4 years later, shifted to Europe, where we suffered the European summer debt crisis. I think they successfully overcame the crisis. And then, 3 or 4 years later, the instability shifted to emerging markets. And very true. Emerging markets are in a period of high volatility. And frankly, probably true for most of the countries represented in this room. Many of us have as our largest trading partner, China. So I think we can probably all agree that China is the trillion-dollar question, because the slowdown in China is what caused commodity prices to collapse, and then domino effect comes from there. Right? Now, my personal take on situations like this, honestly, what's potentially a little bit different about the current downturn for emerging markets is there's no single authority. In the United States, you have the Federal Reserve and the US Treasury that can step in as a rescuer or lender of last resort. With the European summer debt crisis, you essentially had the European Central Bank as a lender of last resort, as a rescuer, as a backstop. Now, with emerging markets, the instability ranges from as far away as Brazil to Turkey to Indonesia, Malaysia, Russia. There's no single authority that is capable of backstopping, if you will, all of us at the same time. And therefore, in a way, and this is what I shared with my fellow trade ministers in Istanbul among the G20, I think the biggest contribution we can make to solving the global problem is for each of us to get our own country in order. That each of us has big homework, has big challenges, has big reforms we need to implement. And actually, if you look at the crisis in the United States, some of the crisis in Europe, what stopped it? Well, there's two things that stop the crisis. Number one, this is essential, is economic reform. Without economic reform, it doesn't matter what the central bank does, it doesn't matter what the Federal Reserve does. You have to come up with a credible package of policies that shows that you're changing. Why do crises happen in the first place? What does happen is the world has changed in some way, and certain countries are caught off guard, right? So there's a sudden shift that we're not ready for. And what does happen is pressure is going to build up over time, and then they blow up. Right? And governments have to show that they have a credible plan to address issues. Right? So number one is reforms. And number two is actually a letter of last resort. And that's probably the unknown at this time, right? But it's ultimately going to put the floor under the downward trend among emerging market currencies. I think maybe it's relevant for all of us because I see many of us are from emerging market countries. And this is a reflection of a very positive trend for the world, which is what we call South-South trade, right? Basically, not only us, emerging markets countries exporting to rich countries, vice versa, but also we're now trading much more amongst ourselves, with each other. But again, we're now all in this same boat, where basically we're now the source of a lot of the global volatility. Frankly, with the Indonesian currency having devalued by this much, we should be seeing a boom in tourism right now. And I'll let my colleague from the tourism ministry talk about what we're doing with the tourism fund. But frankly, to your point, what is the bottleneck? What's stopping us from launching more direct flights, more point-to-point flights? I can share with you that most of the airports in Java and Bali are maxed out. There's no more capacity. There's very few landing slots left. And again, sadly, this is the result of many, many years of neglect of our infrastructure. And that is why the second biggest thing that President Jokowi did upon being in office, the first big thing he did was to slash about $30 billion per year of fuel subsidies. Second biggest thing he did was immediately launch the infrastructure program. Yeah. And many of you might know that President Jokowi is a very workman-like person. He's a very much hands-on. He spends probably at least half his time in the field. The new presidential airplane arrived just in time because he is really racking up the mileage going, around the country, crisscrossing projects, and it ranges from, inspecting building of toll roads and also airports and so on. But yes, absolutely, connectivity is key. We're well aware of the problem. I'm happy to share with you that actually the infra program is making surprisingly good progress. I think the president doesn't really like to show off that much. He just sort of likes to get things solved, and then things will complete on their own, and we'll come back when it's time to open the toll road or open the terminal. So we haven't really talked about progress. There's actually sort of the 20% progress mark, the 30% progress mark, the 40% progress mark. It's not going to show up to expect, it's going to show up and talk much about it until it's done. So it's probably not received as much coverage, but it's definitely very much the focus of policy for us. So thank you for pointing that out. Absolutely correct. It's not just aviation, it's also ports, right? And there again, I think we should look at deregulating. Sometimes there's still routing rules or routing laws where airlines cannot go a certain way or ships cannot go a certain way, and that all hinders connectivity. So that's something we also look